everybody. Today I need to tell you that I almost lied to you. So I've been telling you a bit of a half-truth up until now. We have been saying that the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, and that b is the y-intercept. That's true, but then we've been labeling b as just 0, or in this one it was also 0, and this one we labeled b as 1. That means we're just saying that the y-intercept is 0, or the y-intercept is 0, or the y-intercept is 1, or the y-intercept is negative 4. The reason why that's a half-truth is because the y-intercept, if it's going to be a graph that's touching the y-axis, if it's touching the y-axis, then really any line is going to touch the y-axis at a point. And a point is not just a number. A point on a graph is always a coordinate. So all of these are really coordinates for the y-intercept. B equals that coordinate. B equals this coordinate. B is equal to this graph touched at 1. So the coordinate for this graph, y equals 1/3 x plus 1, would be, we are not to the right, we're not to the left, so the x is 0 and the y is 1. B on this one, it says negative 4, so that means we are having a graph that touches the y-axis at negative 4. The x-coordinate of the y-intercept is always 0, and then the y-coordinate is whatever that number was, so negative 4. From now on, we're going to write our y-intercept. Every time we're labeling it from now on, we're going to label it as a coordinate. So let's make that a concrete part of our notes by labeling some linear function vocabulary. Please draw this graph in your journal. It goes 4 up for the y, it goes to 8 for the x. I would say make this take like half of a page, make this nice and large. Half of a page of just this graph. Then draw a line, and this line is going to have a y-intercept. Draw an arrow towards that point, and that point is 2 up. So it's 0 to the right, the y-intercept is 0 to the right, but it's 2 up. Label it. Draw an arrow pointing it out, and label it. The other thing that we are also going to be labeling in our graphs is going to be the x-intercept. The x-intercept has two names, just like the y-intercept is either the y-intercept or it's b. The x-intercept is either the x-intercept or we call the x-intercept the 0 of the function. And I'll talk about that in a bit. The x-intercept is labeled as the coordinate. Well, it's where we are touching the x-axis. This graph touches the x-axis at 4. So then that means we are 4 to the right, the x is 4, and how far up is this dot? How far down is this dot? Is it any up? Is it any down? No, it's right at 0 for y. So the coordinates for the x-intercept are 4, 0. Okay, I'm also going to show you the other way that you can find slope. I've shown you delta y over delta x, and that is my favorite way, but sometimes it will be useful to know the basic formula that everybody learns. We haven't used this formula in this class yet, but the formula that everybody learns for slope is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I really don't know why everybody learns this way, whenever this way is so much easier, but I guess some people like more labels. So this says y2 minus y1. Okay, now which one's y2 and which one's y1? You get to pick. Let's make this x-intercept the point 2. which means it's going to have x2 and y2. And those coordinates will be 4, 0. Let's make this point x1, y1, x1, y1. And that's going to be equal to 0 for x and 2 for y. If you want to use this equation, you need to have y2 labeled, and you need to have y1 labeled. Once you have them labeled, you're just going to put them where they go. So we need y2 first, and that's the number 0. Oh, not a comma. We're going to be subtracting 0 minus y1, and y1 is 2. We have 0 minus 2 divided by x2. x2 is 4, so we're going to put 4, and then we're going to copy the minus sign, and then we need to fill in x1, which is 0. I need some more space, so I'm going to take this off for now, and now you see why I told you that you should make this take up half of your page, because we're writing a whole lot of things in here. So the m is equal to 0 minus 2. 0 minus 2 means we're starting at 0, we're going down 2, so that's going to be a negative 2, divided by 4 minus 0. That's not going to change at all. So this is negative 1/2, and if you wanted to, you could change that to negative 0.5. If you were asked to graph this back, if you were asked to graph this equation back, then leaving it as a fraction would be the best option. But if all they want is the slope, then maybe you should change it into a decimal and then type that answer in. And especially if it's like a grid in on the star or something, because you have to write your answer with your pencil and you can't write a fraction in. So our slope is negative 1/2. And then I'll just write these ones, which we already answered. The y-intercept was 0, 2. And we had answered earlier 4, 0 is the x-intercept. Let's just do a couple more examples of labeling these things. And then I'll have a second video with even more examples in a different type of situation.